I think the grid is growing certainly at a pace, but I think the demand for energy is growing at a significantly faster pace.
Yeah.
You look at data centers, that's really one of the biggest drivers for energy use today, and it's already having an impact on the average utility bill.
We're the first, I believe, to market with a fully integrated package, which is the inverters plus the batteries all in one complete unit.
This is, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest breakthroughs we've ever had as a company. And I feel the 250 kilowatt, 600 volt in the centralized version will possibly do more volume than all of our other units combined.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 10 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more. Hey guys, are you a residential solar installer doing light commercial but wanting to scale into large C&I solar? I'm Tim Montague. I've developed over 150 megawatts of commercial solar, and I've solved the problem that you're having. You don't know what tools and technologies you need in order to successfully close 100 kW to megawatt scale projects. I've developed a commercial solar accelerator to help installers exactly like you. Just go to cleanpowerhour.com, click on strategy, and book a call today. It's totally free with no obligation. Thanks for being a listener. I really appreciate you listening to the pod. And I'm Tim Montague. Let's grow solar and storage. Go to Clean Power Hour and click strategy today. Thanks so much.
The clean energy industry is moving fast. The deals are getting bigger, the technology is evolving, and the stakes have never been higher. Welcome to the Clean Power Hour, the podcast for solar, storage, and microgrid professionals who want to stay ahead of it all. Each week, your host, Tim Montague, industry advisor and president of Clean Power Consulting Group, brings you unfiltered conversations with the leaders actually building the energy transition. Now, here's your host, Tim Montague.
Where do you see the solar industry going in the next couple of years?
It feels like almost every 3 months, it's another setback, another challenge, another thing we have to overcome. I feel we'll see a lot of the same over the next 3 years. I'm sure companies like ours and some of our partners, EPC partners, will figure out quicker ways to install, quicker ways to work with our equipment. So I think just the innovation will continue to speed up the clean energy transition.
Where are the hot markets for C&I solar and storage as far as you see it in the Northeast?
New York and Massachusetts are probably our two big targeted states to get more involved in. From a PV perspective, we were involved in one out of every 2 ground mount projects in the community solar over the last 5 years. So we're really excited about the stronghold we have in that market. Not staying complacent and looking to now bolt on solar plus storage applications. So stay right here at home in our backyard and stay focused on doing that. For us, focus is a hard thing. Doing too much has got us in trouble before, like most businesses, so we're going to where we know we can do really well and where we can potentially become #1, which is commercial energy storage.
When it comes to ground mount solar, you've got, in my mind, 3 key products: the 125, the 250, and the 350 kW inverters. And now you have the skidded string. Tell us a little bit about why developers like the skidded string.
The 250 kilowatt will upend the 125 this year because it's a 600 volt platform. The 350 will upend our 275 and already is. We want a 600 megawatt site that we shipped starting shipping last year. We're continuing to ship now. with the 350 and MV station. One thing we should talk about, in addition to the 250, 600, and 350, is the 200 kilowatt community solar product at 480 volt is upending our 100 kilowatt 480. We've had so many new product launches and so many new products at once that it's almost hard to get the word out on all these. We have to disrupt ourselves. If we don't disrupt ourselves, we feel someone else will.
Are there any customers or projects that you can highlight regarding the community solar or utility markets?
Here in New York State, we've been one out of every 2 ground mount projects in New York State with our 1500 volt solutions. So, I mean, there's so many customers to thank for that. If you come to our Innovation Day, you can meet a lot of them.
It's true. That's the best way to meet Chin customers, is to come to Innovation Day, April 22 to 24 in Dallas, Texas. But what else do you want listeners, solar developers, asset owners, and installers to know that they may not know about CPS?
We care. We always say we care more. Everyone in our company creating a culture that cares a lot more, meaning like, what did we do today? What did we do yesterday? How can we improve it either today or tomorrow? Is in our DNA. It's why innovation is so critical to us. So one of the things we're talking about here at the show, where we just got awarded our first set of projects here in New York State for, is the skidded string. So skidded string is much different because it combines the benefits of central inverter and string inverter. So you can basically put 10 or 12 250 kilowatt 600 volt inverters, mount them on the skid, factory integrated, and then we ship it to site. Comes with a medium voltage transformer, comes with switch gear. We can add other hardware there as well based on the customization that's needed. But this is, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest breakthroughs we've ever had as a company. And I feel the 250 kilowatt 600 volt in the centralized version will possibly do more volume than all of our other units combined.
So what is it about skidded string that is compelling for customers?
The labor savings is huge. You're not having to go out in the field all around the array. Again, you're factory integrating, so you get a little bit more quality that could happen there in a factory setting than in the field. You can time all your construction now and ship these 5 megawatts at a clip to come out and speed up that whole site. But also like O&M, post installation, the O&M, which is operations and maintenance savings, by not having to walk throughout the array. You're working on one pad. We'll have one flex at each pad, so you're able to work on the 10 to 12 inverters, troubleshoot right there. You're going to each pad and treating it like you would do a central inverter pad. The main advantage we have compared to central is, again, the less maintenance cost. So you don't have to do the preventative maintenance, every 3 months, checking filters and fans. So, you're getting that benefits of combining both.
Yeah, lower labor on the front end in the construction, and then lower labor on the O&M side. And just ease of any parts replacement that are necessary, right? You're swapping out a suitcase-sized piece of equipment instead of a bus-sized piece of equipment. Anything else you want to highlight for our listeners?
I think you're going to see Chin continue to aim at that string inverter market share and increase that market share. Something like skidded string will make a very sticky product already that at string inverter become even more sticky with having the customization element that a central can offer. So thank you, Tim, for all of your efforts and hard work, and we look forward to many more years together.
We're here with Luke Hardin. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Luke, and what you do for CPS America.
I'm a business development engineer here at CPS. Been here for coming on 3 years now. Came here straight out of college, actually had the opportunity to be involved in the internship program here at CPS as well. And CPS has guided me all the way to where I am now. So great in terms of development and even some out in the field experience as well, and getting involved in string sizing in the engineering department. So it's been a great time.
C&I storage is all the rage right now in the solar industry, right? Solar's great, but storage makes it work 24/7. And it provides a much more nuanced value stack. So tell us a little bit about CPS's C&I storage offering.
We're coming out with our 125 kilowatt, 261 kilowatt hour C&I energy storage unit. We're seeing a high demand in energy storage this year in 2026. Specifically, I'm working a little bit more in the Northeast. So the other factor in terms of people getting into the energy storage market, our C&I energy storage is scalable. You can use multiple of these energy storage in parallel. Let's just say you want to start out with just a few of them, you can start building off of that with years to come. So the people that are a little bit hesitant, try a few out and see how it works for your projects, and eventually you can always add on to that.
Yeah, here we are in Massachusetts, which is a great storage market. They have special incentives for batteries. New York. What are the other Northeast storage markets in your mind?
Definitely Massachusetts, a big one. New York is going to be a big one as well. Really just all of the Northeast.
So what sets CPS apart from other storage companies?
We take a lot of our customer feedback and implement it into our products. One example that I could list of that is a rapid shutdown integration in our wire boxes. That came directly from our installers and our designers' feedback that we implemented straight into our products. So we like to do a lot of listening to our customers and implementing that into the new projects. And we think that energy storage is going to implement very well into our PV.
Luke, what else should we know about ESS? Adoption is accelerating, but installers have a lot of anxiety. There's supply chain issues. There's probably 50 companies that make batteries, but the question is, can you get a battery installed this year that will work for 20 years?
Yeah, I think the main answer on that one is going to be our service factor. We really pride ourselves in service at CPS, and we're proven reliable. You can see the investments that we've made in our service department, our Texas warehouses, also our performance engineers that we have down in Texas that are available on our hotline at all times. And we also have field service all around the country. So we're definitely proven reliable and have that service when it is needed.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 10 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more. I'm with Joe Ross. He is the
Director of Channel Sales and National Accounts.
Storage is the bee's knees. Solar's great, but if you can't store the energy from the sun, you really don't have a lot of things that we need in the built environment, like resilience or grid services, etc. The value stack of storage is much more dynamic than just solar alone. Tell us a little bit about how you see the storage market, especially in C&I.
We're seeing increased demand from consumers, but also industry. New technologies are coming online, so there's going to be a greater demand in the future, and solar is really a significant piece of that solution in both the C&I and utility space.
The grid is growing and the demand on the grid is growing?
I think the grid is growing certainly at a pace, but I think the demand for energy is growing at a significantly faster pace.
Yeah.
You look at data centers, that's really one of the biggest drivers for energy use today, and it's already having an impact on the average utility bill. Right. So being able to offset that with an add-on component product such as a battery is really significant.
Yeah, the cost for consumers and business owners are going up, sometimes as much as 30% in the last year. Significant uptick in energy prices. And so that increases the value of solar and storage. But tell us about the Northeast market in particular from CPS's perspective.
CPS is the U.S. leader in C&I installations, 8 of the last 9 years. So we know where a lot of these projects exist. And the great news is we're still doing business with a lot of the customers that install these projects. So it's a very logical and natural progression to incorporate our battery solution, our 62.5 and 125 kW battery, into those projects that we know and are familiar with and have serviced. And again, because these customers are repeat, they've been doing business with us for years, they feel very confident having that addition to their systems.
If I'm a CNI customer and I'm installing solar, I might reduce my power bill by 50%. 50 to 75% is a good rule of thumb.
Yep.
With a battery, I can do way more. I could 4 or 5x those savings.
The return on investment for a battery addition is about 3.5 to 4 years, sometimes significantly less, sometimes less than 3 years. So essentially the battery pays for itself in 3 years, and then as you mentioned, the reduction in the cost to the consumer is then moving forward for as long as the project is viable, and we're seeing projects run north of 20 years.
So if you're an installer and you don't have a lot of experience yet in storage, what do you need to know to dip your toe in the water and get in the game?
Yeah, I think the thing about batteries is it has been a relatively new technology, so that's a significant part of our customers. They don't have a lot of experience. What you really need to do is just essentially take a look at the asset that you have, determine how many more years you would like that to produce, and then just do a simple math equation of whether you want to accelerate the return on your investment by adding a battery piece to it. Reach out to CPS. We've got experts that are now exclusively focused on the battery technology. We'll present you with a short form that we go through and just determine what the best solution set is, optimize your energy management system, come back with suggestions, and then really lock down what you would need to purchase for that project. We would subsequently follow that up with a quote.
Yeah, for installers to get in the storage game, it's really not that heavy a lift. You need to find good partners who are technically savvy and understand the value stack. You need to think about the value chain and supply chain. That is a big pain point, obviously, in solar and batteries. But I've heard from other reps this morning that the lead times on batteries for CNI are not that great.
Yeah, currently we're at about 24 to 26 weeks on the larger systems, a little bit less for the smaller systems. But another point that is really impactful, I think, is the fact that you're purchasing this solution from CPS, a company that you've used in the past. You understand how we respond to service. You understand the importance of O&M, so it's the post-sale support that really is our biggest differential. And with the battery, it's a carry-on of that same philosophy of taking care of the customer through the life of the project.
Is there anything else you would like the asset owners, developers, and EPCs to know about Chint, your culture of service, and your culture of innovation?
I've been with a number of different inverter manufacturers, so I've seen a lot of changes, and by far this is the most stable group that I've ever worked with. We've got projects that have been running for 9 years. We're still completely backward compatible with all of our components for those projects. We have a real-time technical support team live during U.S. daylight hours, so if there's any issues with any of your systems, you can get somebody live on the phone. We have the ability to remotely look at this equipment and determine what the root cause of the issue is, and then implement a corrective action, which we typically accomplish within about 48 hours. So what you're looking at in terms of O&M is much less downtime, much more uptime, and much more power production.
I'm with Bryan Baxter, CPS America, and we're going to be talking about the community solar industry and the CNI storage industry, which are both booming industries here in the U.S. So, Bryan, give us a little context. How long have you been with CPS, and what exactly do you do?
Yeah, Tim, I've been with CPS for about 7 years now, and it started as a sales account manager, and now I'm director of sales for the East. The business has grown over the years. We sell commercial products from three-phase string inverters now, including energy storage, and we have skidded solutions as well. So there's a whole gamut and range of products that we can supply.
Skidded versus decentralized is always a consideration, right? That's one of the advantages of string inverters, period, is you can sprinkle them throughout the array, or you can put them on a centralized skid, which we call skidded string.
Yes.
Why don't you just give us a quick highlight of the pros and cons of skidded versus non?
Yeah, one of the skidded string highlights is that you get a fully packaged equipment set, so it's a full solution. It can include the switchboard, the transformer, and all of the inverters racked, so you can just drop that into place. So from a timing perspective, from a speed of installation, it's going to be the fastest way to build a site. And so if you're under the gun in terms of the clock and trying to get your project completed, it is going to really quickly enable a faster installation, plus reduce on-site labor.
Because the skid is literally put together off-site and then shipped to site and just dropped in, so it's very analogous to a central inverter approach historically. But then you have the O&M advantages of being able to quickly swap out relatively small pieces of equipment as needed.
Exactly, and actually even beyond just the smaller piece of equipment, our inverter is that two-piece design, so the separable wire box, and so you can swap out the power head alone even more quickly than having to actually deconnect all of the wires and terminations that you have inside. So it's actually like basically twice as fast.
Let's take a minute and also explore your C&I storage. C&I storage is a hot market now in the U.S. We have good incentives in states like Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, California. What is it that makes CPS's C&I ESS solution unique?
We're the first to market with a fully integrated package, which is the inverters plus the batteries all in one complete unit. So really all you have to do is run your AC connection and your communication cable, and that's an integrated package that's going to run right from the start. Beyond that, we have the highest level of fire safety certification achieved so far on a commercial product. That's the CSA 800, which is an offshoot of the UL 9540.
Yeah, those certifications and fire safety are a big deal in ESS. What are the lead times if you wanted to procure equipment, for example?
Each project is different, so again, our team can assist in terms of sizing that energy storage product for your particular site. And if you have PV on that site or not, either way, we can look at how that product is going to help with your demand charge savings, things like that. So how are the economics going to be affected? So our team can help with that aspect. And then in terms of our delivery capability, we'll say roughly 8 to 10 weeks typically, sometimes a little bit better. But yeah, so we're ready to go. We can support that market very quickly.
So Bryan, anything else about the skidded string our audience should know?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different options. We do have a configuration tool and a process that we'll work closely with our customers with. Because of the flexibility that we offer, you can get your project dialed into what you need. So if you safe harbored a transformer, for example, you can get that skidded string without it, right? It's just a smaller package. And so things like that, we have some flexibility that we can offer.
Hey guys, are you a residential solar installer doing light commercial but wanting to scale into large C&I solar? I'm Tim Montague. I've developed over 150 megawatts of commercial solar, and I've solved the problem that you're having. You don't know what tools and technologies you need in order to successfully close 100 kW to megawatt scale projects. I've developed a commercial solar accelerator to help installers exactly like you. Just go to cleanpowerhour.com, click on strategy, and book a call today. It's totally free with no obligation. Thanks for being a listener. I really appreciate you listening to the pod. And I'm Tim Montague. Let's grow solar and storage. Go to Clean Power Hour and click strategy today. Thanks so much. I'm with Luke Schlicte, who's a returning guest to the show, and Andrey Malyshev, who's a new guest. Andrey is an applications engineer, and Luke handles utility sales for CPS America. There is a transition going on, not just the energy transition, but the transition from central to string. When you guys think about central to string, just give us a couple of bullet points on what developers are thinking about and what they may not understand with regards to this option that they now have.
So the centrals, you have fewer of these big inverters to build the big projects, so fewer things to manage and look after. That was the traditional approach to that design. So more recently, the price of string inverters have improved, as well as their quality and reliability and features of those string inverters have also improved. So now you do not need to necessarily worry about the central inverter being a big piece of the project, so that when it is offline for any reason, you lose a big component of your project, big component of your revenue stream. for potentially protracted downtime because of part shortage or, let's say, availability of the technician or any other such similar supply chain issues, bottlenecks. And it's much easier just to stock a couple extra string inverters in your CCAN right on site. And let's say one of them goes down, it's only a small piece of the project. You might schedule a replacement, let's say, in a week or maybe in 2 weeks, and just have a couple guys go out, your own staff, have to wait for the tech to fly in. With specialty components, you just have you're more in control of your own project when you have string inverters.
If you have skin in the game, if you're an IPP, you're going to be attached to that project long term. You're going to really want to consider string. It's just going to ensure that your P50's estimates are attainable. The problem with the central inverter, obviously, having that single point of failure, it can be that extended downtime. You have hundreds of spare parts that you have to keep stock of. There could be a supply chain constraint on one that could lead to extended downtimes. So really there's a lot of benefits in having that modularity and building these projects, especially when you think about some of the constraints with projects, as there's fewer and fewer flat rectangles available out there. So when you have odd-shaped parcels, you have challenging terrain, the flexibility that you get with string inverters is really going to ensure that you're maybe able to put more DC blocks on that parcel, and you're going to be able to ensure more generation.
So when we're thinking about retrofitting central inverters to string inverters, there's the CapEx and the OpEx, and this is always the calculus that has to be done. How do you explain this to customers?
Every project is different, but where I think we fit in as a great partner when you're looking at retrofitting a project is we can, for lack of a better terms, be a concierge in terms of we'll look at those plan sets and those single lines, and our applications engineers, Andrey and his team, they will provide a proposal for everything that you're going to need to consider, not only from the inverter consideration, but is it going to need a transformer? Are there other considerations that you're going to want to think about? And we're going to look at it from the owner's perspective and doing what we can to keep those costs down to help ensure that it's going to pencil.
When you go to other more mature markets like Asia and Europe, they're further along in this adoption, right, of string inverters. Historically, the CapEx was driving the adoption of central inverters, but the OpEx argument, as CapEx has come down, the OpEx is swinging in your favor. It's just more economical to do O&M on string inverters.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, the string inverters have become more in line with centrals in terms of CapEx. Now, this will vary project to a certain degree. For the most part, the difference is really shrunk to a very small gap, if any. And in terms of OpEx, I mean, there's definitely string inverters that are a lot more favorable choice. And many people recognize that because you're not dependent on one supplier for parts and technician and support. You have better flexibility with string, and you're less reliant on just one large inverter. And as more people recognize that, the string inverters are gaining more traction in the North American market also. Though traditionally, yes, the EPCs in North America have preferred installing centrals, but from their perspective, it's faster and easier, but this has changed in the recent years.
I also think about uptime. Production is when you lose a central inverter, you're losing a bigger chunk of the production from your site. Do you guys have any anecdotal information about uptime and string inverters?
One of our customers approached me at RE Plus in Vegas this last year and told me that they retrofitted a 1 megawatt project, switched from central inverters to string inverters, and they said since they've done that, they've had all-time highs in productions from that site, which I think is interesting considering the panels are probably a decade old as well. But really, I think there's talking about the OpEx piece, there's a really big benefit too in the O&M side, where if we're talking about a central inverter, It's requiring specialized technicians that I hear in that $300 to $400 an hour range, where string inverters, it's technician level O&M. We put a big emphasis on making our inverters easy to work on. We innovated the separable firebox and power head, so we're talking about as quick of a swap that you can make on a failed power head. So I really think that's a big consideration when looking at utility scale as well, as how do you keep those operational costs down?
All right. Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about Central to String?
Yeah, the uptime is a big part of it, the OPEX. Yeah, and it's very cost competitive offer these days. So yeah, please take a listen to Luke and his teams. He got something to offer, and it's a great product.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 10 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more.